Welcome back, my students, to a brand new episode of Comic Class. In today's lesson, guys, I thought we would take a look at Batman 10 Nights of the Beast. And yeah, this is one of the most recommended and highly praised Batman stories of all time. And recently, I actually went to a flea market and actually grabbed the original trade paperback from 1994, which apparently is kind of rare or valuable or something when I was researching it. And yeah, so I'm surprised I got my hands on such a book. But after this, I basically decided to read through it and see if the hype was, justified. I thought, why not make a video while I'm working on the retrospectives and, reading the material I need for the next few video retrospectives. And why not talk about this story in the meantime? Because Batman 10 Nights of the Beast is definitely an interesting story, and I want to talk about it. So without further ado, guys, let's jump right into today's story. Let's go. So Batman 10 Nights of the Beast basically starts off introducing us to KG Beast and one of his partners, basically the main guy that works with them. And they're basically like faded out in shadow, so we don't really get to see how they look. And they're basically attacking these guys, taking the shipment that they were carrying. Now we get introduced to a character that his name is Anatoly, I believe. And he's from, I believe, Russia. And he's basically here talking to Gordon, telling him that there's a man called KG Beast. And KG Beast is a man that basically is from Russia, and he was trained to be a super soldier, basically the ultimate soldier. And similar to Batman, he's trained in almost every martial art, but unlike Batman, he actually tries to kill his opponents, and he's a true assassin. So he's a very deadly person. Now, the KG Beast is in Gotham, and he is killing people, and they don't understand why. So Gordon wants to have Batman on the case, whereas a person, I believe, called Agent, I think, Peterson or something, doesn't want him on the case. So we have a little bit back and forth between Gordon and the people working with the FBI. And yeah, so KG Beast is going around basically killing people that he deems worthy to kill, I guess, on his agenda. And he just goes around killing all these different types of people. Eventually, Batman goes into his whole detective mode and basically tries to piece the, pieces together. And we get to see Batman, truly be a detective, and which is one of the great things about Batman that we never really get to see in live action. So when I read the comments, I'm always excited to see this side of Batman, and I'm glad that we got that in this story. Eventually, we get to see that KG Beast and his partner basically plant some poison into one of the guests', well, I think all the guests' food, and Gordon's lucky he did not eat it because he would be dead as well. And yeah, they basically kill everybody that goes to this type of banquet in order to just catch one person off guard and kill them. It's pretty messed up. Batman basically eventually catches up with KG Beast, and they get into a fight, and eventually a chase scene where KG Beast makes Batman have to choose between capturing him or saving a ton of Gotham school children. And of course, Batman's a hero, and he gets the children to safety and loses KG Beast. Eventually, later on in the day or the next day, we get to see that Batman lays a trap for the KG Beast and gets him to destroy a dummy person. Basically, the dude, KG Beast, used a rocket launcher to try to blow this guy away in his whole apartment building. And it's kind of crazy. And he completely just annihilates the room that this dummy was in. And Batman and the KG Beast, kind of face off, and actually gets the KG Beast to have to cut off his own hand or arm. And it's pretty metal that Batman did this. And it's metal that, KG Beast is so serious that he would literally cut off his own arm if it means surviving. With no hesitation. It's just amazing. Now, Batman eventually figures out that, the KG Beast is coming after all these very important people. They basically get in an elevator, and the elevator is going haywire, basically turning off. And the KG Beast, when Batman goes up to investigate, starts throwing these cinder blocks down. And one of them actually hits one of the people, the agents, and kills him instantly. It's pretty sad. And yeah, so the KG Beast is on the top, and he gets confronted by these policemen, and he basically doesn't hesitate at all to grab a nearby axe, I guess it's like a pickaxe in case of a fire, and he goes on to assassinate all these different cops. And Batman basically gets to the top eventually with KG Beast making his escape. and seeing all the cops dead, saying that they had no chance against someone like him, and basically is sad for these people for going into such a situation. Now, Batman basically is kind of like outmaneuvered by, KG Beast, and he basically loses, track of him. And he basically tells Gordon that he figured out who exactly the KG Beast is going after, his main target being Ronald Reagan, the president at the time, which I guess was the president when the story was, published. Now, Ronald Reagan basically talks to Batman and basically tells him that he puts his trust and life in his hands, which is really cool to see in a comic. An actual president, U.S. president talking to a comic character is pretty cool. And I know that they've done, presidents in comics before or maybe after, but it's cool to see Ronald Reagan since he's, one of the most favorite presidents or favorite presidents. And yeah, so basically KG Beast has a plan to basically try to assassinate the president. And we get to see his partner basically come and try to take out Ronald Reagan, which is actually, Jim Gordon. And we get to see Robin and this guy basically go at it. And he gets the guy to basically fall off with his kite that he was, I guess, parachuting on or whatever. And the explosion that he had, the explosives go off, killing him only. And he was able to save everyone that was on the rooftop, which was pretty awesome. And Gordon does reveal that he's actually, Jim Gordon and, Peterson, Agent Peterson basically was wondering where exactly is the president. And the president is actually in Batman's care, which was the smart move. Now, KGB basically makes his move to assassinate Ronald Reagan with one of his accomplices, who was actually a cop that was paid out and sold out for money of $40,000, which is pretty messed up, to actually try to kill, the U.S. president. But Batman basically stops both of them and actually hits KG Beast with a dart that, would actually take down like two normal sized men or something like that. And one of the detectives basically tells Batman that he's going to go after him, right? And Batman basically tells him, yeah, I'm going after him. And he goes down and he knows what he's going to have to do to stop someone like KG Beast from coming back and killing all these people, in another time. So they engage in their final battle, and this battle is actually pretty good. We get to see the KG Beast and Batman basically using all their environment and their fighting styles, the martial arts skills that they have, to basically try to take each other down. And it's just an awesome hand-to-hand fight. And eventually, KG Beast uses like some type of gas to try to knock out Batman, and Batman says that his lungs are actually burning. And Batman's still fighting back. Eventually, KG Beast tries to make an escape and finds some type of steel door and actually goes into this room. And this is where KG Beast is confronted by Batman, and KG Beast basically tells Batman to come inside so they can have their final duel and test the strength of who is stronger and who is the better fighter and just stuff like that, who's the better assassin and martial artist. And eventually Batman basically tells them in one of the most infamous panels, I think, in Batman history, where he basically closes the door on the KG Beast and locks him inside, basically telling him that in his younger years he would have went in there to test himself against him, but time has taught him a valuable lesson, one of them being that there's no reason to go in there and risk his life after him, because beating him will actually accomplish nothing and prove nothing, anything worthwhile, basically prove anything worthwhile, as he says. And he basically, KG Beast is left in there to starve to death, or dehydrate to death, whatever way he goes out. And it's pretty like messed up. And eventually I think DC retconned it to where the KG Beast actually found a way to escape. That way Batman didn't actually kill someone, since that goes against his code. And yeah, the issue, or the issues, I guess, they end off with Batman being told by the detective if he needs to worry about the KG Beast, with Batman just saying, no, you don't need to worry about him anymore. And the dude is like visibly shocked at what Batman just said, because this is Batman, he doesn't kill. And Batman basically tells him that he has a limo outside waiting for him, and it's revealed that Alfred actually has a Ronald Reagan mask on, which is pretty, creepy. Really, just like how he says, "Where to, sir?" He says, "Home. I'm tired and hurting, and please get rid of that silly mask. I'm just not in the mood." It's just a really good interaction, and I just love whenever, Bruce and Alfred have this little, like, back and forth. And I really wish there was more of that in this, story arc. But yeah, that was Batman 10 Nights of the Beast. This was a 4-part story arc that overall, looking back at it, I think when I first read it, which was about maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I thought it was a little bit overhyped, but after getting the material for this video and going through it once again, I do think that looking at the era that this came out in is very important, because you definitely can see some of the groundwork being set for Batman's more dark attitude and tone in the story. And overall, the action scenes were actually really well done and very well choreographed in the panels, which I didn't notice my first time reading it. Overall, the story was actually pretty solid. Everything about this book is actually pretty solid. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite Batman stories. I think when you compare it to stories like Under the Hood, with, the Red Hood and Batman, stuff like that is like near masterpiece level for Batman content. I don't see this story in that same light, but I do think it does earn its hype in a way, because it is very solid through and through. But that's going to be it, guys. I'm going to leave a link in the description down below to go check it out in Comixology. Like I said, I read the trade paperback, got it in physical. I got very lucky. I literally got this book for like $4 or something like that, which is crazy because this book goes for like $60, $64 online, which blew my mind whenever I researched it. I knew the book was very highly praised, but I had no idea that the original trade paperback for 1994 was actually kind of rare. So that was interesting, and I'm glad I got it when I got it. And now it's part of my comic collection. But that's gonna be all, guys. I have more retrospectives planned in the future. I'm working on reading that content right now. So hopefully in the next few days, I'll have the next retrospective out for you guys, and you'll see what series I'm gonna be covering on this channel. But yeah, be excited for that. But until next time, guys, God bless you. Until the next lesson, keep on reading those comments.
I am who I'm meant to be. I am who I'm meant to be. Over and out again. My future needed clarity, so I could see